Summer fall, seasons change, we still keep it together.
Hey Beverly Hills 90210 fans, are you ready to dive deep, episode by episode, storyline by storyline, character by character, as we break down the making of your favorite zip code, with your hosts, Charles Rosen.
Did I say that?
Yeah. Harry Mollin.
This thing about the real person, and we're going, what? We're getting rid of this guy.
Pete Ferriero.
I'm feeling wonderful. Kathleen looks TV crush-worthy.
Like so many special guests. And all your questions. Live on the Beverly Hills 90210 show. Oh, yeah. Everybody dance now.
Well, it is a season 6 day at the Beverly Hills 90210 show. So no Chuck today, or Jessica, but we are here with Sarah Hearon. I keep screwing.
It's okay.
From Us Weekly. I don't know if you saw the promo this week, but I put your little thing in there.
I did. It was an honor to be included in the promo.
Oh.
Always moving forward. How are you? How are things at Us Weekly? Anything breaking that we need to report on right now?
No, I'm so over Harry and Meghan. I hope I never have to hear a royal family ever again. That's pretty much all that's happening.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
How about you, Larry? How are things going on your end?
I just feel like good things are happening. I just kind of feel like there's a lot of, brightness coming into the world, and, people are getting vaccinated. There's, things are opening up, and, there's a lot of hope, I guess. And hope is, though not an emotion, it's an aspiration, but it's still pretty good.
That was so nice.
It was beautiful. And I think one of our guests is going to love that stuff. All right. Before we...
No, I actually knew that there were 12 basic emotions. I didn't realize I had to look this up for something I was writing.
All right. I'm going to start with
hope is not one of them.
An ad for our shirt store, and then when we come back, we will have one of our guests with us.
Okay. Do you know we have even more new shirts and merchandise at Beverly Hills 90210showshop.com? For instance, watch our Planet 90210 show with some sick Planet 90210 merch. Or want to celebrate at the Peach Pit? Check out this new shirt with a photo from Jill Henkel's collection. Or, oh my god, I know Claire Arnold fans are going to love this one. A little sex, rock, and really decent literature. Plus, for all you Larry Mollin fans, that's right, a Get Outta Here shirt. And don't forget about our classic designs. We keep loading it up with more items each week, so head over to Beverly Hills 90210showshop.com for all your 90210 stuff.
Well, there you have it. And look who's with us here. Speaking of
Welcome,
the royal,
Randy.
Hey, hi everybody.
Randy Spelling. Wow, man, it's so awesome to have you here.
Where are you? You're in Portland, right? Portland, Oregon?
Yeah, I'm up in Portland, Oregon, and I love the whole 12 basic emotions thing. I was being inspired by Larry backstage.
Well, it's actually, I should say, I have to. There's a debate about how many emotions there really are. Some people say there's only 12, other people say there's 27. But one thing they're sure is hope is not an emotion.
Yeah, interesting.
Wow.
Now, Randy, in your life today, before you were getting drunk with Munson and Steve Sanders, nowadays you're doing some really, really cool stuff. Before we get into talking about this, why don't you tell everybody what you're up to these days?
Sure. I've been a professional life coach for almost 14 years now. And I get to act a lot, actually, in what I do daily, because I get to act out for clients how they're being, or something that is intangible. I get to act it out for them so they could say, "Oh, wait, oh yeah, that's silly. I should never do that," or "Oh, that's how it looks like. Okay, now that I see it, I'm going to do something different." So it actually, a lot of my my past life and acting suits me really well for doing what I do.
That's amazing, man.
That's great.
Yeah, I want to ask you, I'm kind of getting things going. Was acting something you wanted to do when you were younger, or how did you get into that? I mean, listen, you got the show is huge. It's the biggest show in the world. Your family is running the biggest show in the world. There's many options you could have went down, but was it something you wanted to do?
I did not want to do that when I was growing up. Tori was the actress. She was 5 years older than me. She always wanted to be in the spotlight. You know, she did plays in high school, and that just wasn't me. I was shy. I wanted to take a back seat. So I always said I couldn't pronounce P's. So at rap parties, people would come up and pinch my cheeks and go, "Oh, Randy, you're so cute. Are you going to be an actor?" And I would say, "No, I'm going to be a reducer like my father." So I was going to be a reducer until, I don't know, something. Actually, it was because we were in Caesar's Palace in the Forum Shops. I was about 14, maybe 15 years old. And we were walking through, and obviously 90210 was at its height. And my father and my sister just get mobbed. I mean, there's security everywhere. It's at least 200, 250 people crowding around. And I stood off to the side and I saw the reaction that the fans had. And people were crying and they were smiling and they were so excited. And I saw by just getting to hug them or shake their hand or say something, their trajectory of their day changed. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, that's powerful. Yeah, I want that. I want to do that.
Yeah. Wow, that's great, man. I mean, that must have been so crazy and intense for you growing up and seeing that happen to your sister. Because I mean, while you guys were, you know, I mean, you're the Spelling family, so there's always going to be a degree of going out and getting noticed. But once she gets on television and she becomes a household name, how did that change your lives?
I think it changes in terms of privacy, right? And I mean, you're a little bit more conscious of going out in public. I didn't have this problem as much, you know, at least earlier on. It was nowhere near like it was when 90210 was at its height. But when people started noticing Tori all the time, and now I'm with Tori, you just start to look at the world differently because you go, oh, wait, well, what am I wearing? Whereas before, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't be self-conscious. And I think actors get into this a lot where they love the craft. They want to rise to stardom and they want to do well and be successful. And then when they are, the negative impact of that can be people are looking at me. And it's a weird thing. I remember when I was on 90210 and I started acting, I went from never thinking about people noticing me to going to a restaurant and people are looking at me and I'm wondering, do they like the shirt that I'm wearing? Is it my baby blues that they're admiring? Or do they know me? And even to ask that question is weird. It's strange. It messes with the psyche.
Yeah.
I want to ask one question before we get too far from the source. So the Vegas casino, there's some myths about the family. And there was a myth that I remember.
Oh, Larry.
I've got to just go down the private rail car. I mean, how did you get to Vegas? How did you travel to Vegas?
We did not take a private rail car to Vegas.
Okay, so that's out.
We did take a private rail car.
Okay.
On our, we called it the trip around the world.
Okay.
And as you know, my dad didn't fly.
I know the story. I've heard the story in his office and telling me, the story about, the promise to his mother and the whole bit.
Yes. Okay. So, and by the way, I never knew if that was fact or you knew my dad. He was a good storyteller.
Absolutely.
Wait, for those that don't know.
So I want to see how I got to Vegas. I have to understand.
Okay.
We drove. So sometimes there were times that we would go in a limousine and I would drive with my dad. Sometimes there would be a big motorhome and we would go that way. Sometimes, we'd fly with my mom and my dad would drive and meet us there. So there were a few ways of getting there.
But there was the rail car story is true, though. I just wanted
the rail car story is true. I was 6 years old, and they rented the caboose of an Amtrak or something, and it's a private rail car, and we got to sleep in there, and we made our way from Los Angeles to New York before boarding the Queen Elizabeth II to travel to Europe.
Amazing.
Oh wow, that's
freaking cool.
I wish I remembered it.
Oh no.
I remember, can I tell you a really quick story?
Yeah, please.
The only thing I remember, there were a few things I remember. I remember seeing the Statue of Liberty and there was a blonde woman. I think her name was Claudia, but I can't remember. A blonde woman that I fell in love with. I was 6 years old, and I adapted a New York accent. I adopted a New York accent. And for the next 4 years, I spoke like I was from Brooklyn.
4 years?
I love that. Just in case you ran into her again, you wanted to be, you wanted to be ready for it. Yeah.
But when we were staying there, we had all these suitcases because we were going to Europe, and somehow the suitcase got stolen and had all of my underwear and T-shirts or something in it. Yeah. So we had to spend the day at a store, and I think it was probably like Bloomingdale's or something, and a 6-year-old boy shopping for however long. It felt like we were there for 3 days. I hated New York. So I went into a souvenir shop, and I asked the owner if he had a shirt that said, "I hate New York."
Broken heart.
Today.
I love it. Hey, Larry, how did you get the concept, as we talk about this episode, or, the two characters, how did you come up with this concept of the two brothers that Steve would have?
It's fairly organically. It's interesting looking back at it. You got to see the episode, Randy? You looked at it again?
I did.
Yeah, so that's been part of the fun for us, because you remember stuff, and obviously you have some perspective from time. But it was quite organic, because once season 4, first of all, Steve had his father had another family, which is mentioned in. I haven't verified this with Professor Sherry Weiss of the teen dramology thing, but I think I'm pretty correct. Steve's father is mentioned in the commencement episode, season 3, coming to the graduation with his other family, which included 3 children, of which Steve referred to the 2 of them were boys, the flying monkey children. Somehow, I'm sure this was like an improv line. Anyway, that line got brought up again sometime in season 4, just as a mention. And Steve was mentioning his father, and because, what happened was, once they went to college, I made the decision to create this with Steve Wasserman, Chuck, and Chip and Jessica, because the Keg House, if we added Steve's father as the legacy, and it could add a little dimension to Steve. So then I think by season 6, we were feeling pretty good. I mean, because we're going to get to talk about Rush Sanders in a bit, because he was killing it. And so we just said, okay, those flying monkey children back in commencement, what if we brought them back? What if they really were young Steves together? And Steve, in a way, it's like visiting your past. You get to see all the stupid things you did through your brothers. We'll just have a little bit of fun with them. First we just thought, I think we brought them in on the Turn Back the Clock, the New Year's Eve episode, where they're just gonna, again, Steve's got to take care of his brothers for his father, and and it's just, stuff's gonna happen, and Steve, in a way, can grow as a character, because that's, again, every new character has to serve the show and serve the stars of the show, basically. So, but this was a chance to kind of have a little bit of fun and tie in the more family stuff. And part of the thing was because the Rush Sanders character was a pure product of Beverly Hills, and Steve too. He's got an actress for a mother, a producer for a father, broken home, and so when Rush came in, it just really gave a lot of good conflict and fun. And then we even went further. We created another family for Rush. Actually, I'm getting confused with John Riley. No, we only had one family for Rush. Sorry.
For Randy, how did this come to you that you are going to be one of the two brothers?
Gosh, I have to remember. I think, I was acting at the time, so there's a good segue from Caesar's Palace to then, taking acting classes and studying and whatever. And then I guess, I think, Larry, you could speak to this. There was an opportunity. There were these characters, and my dad said, "Hey, what do you think about doing this?"
I had asked your dad that. I had done that. Look, I want to make everybody happy, and you had done some work as the at the Beach Club, I think, right? You played a character in one of the summer episodes, and you were authentically the character at that time. You know what I mean? Like, you were a Beverly Hills entitled kid, and had that slightly bent quality to you, which would be great. And then we paired you up with the other goofball, which we saw. But at the time when I wrote it, right away, I asked your dad if it would be all right. And yeah, I mean, and he must have then asked you, and so one character was cast. It was cool.
Yeah, and I said, of course, sure, which was exciting and also really nerve-wracking because I grew up watching this show, even though, my dad was producing it and Tori was in it. These were my teen idols. This is who I was learning from. So now I'm on set having to act with my teen idols, and it was an interesting experience.
I'm curious for you. I mean, you get to do a lot of work with Ian. What was he like to work with?
Ian was great to work with. He was always a really nice guy, really professional. And he had this ease about him, just so funny, always brought levity to the set. But, he'd be joking around and playing behind the scenes, and then the cameras would roll, and everyone was just so natural. And yeah, he was fun to work with.
Before we get into some of this other stuff, I'm curious, we talked to Tori a couple of weeks ago, and she mentioned, it was tough for her to be the daughter of Aaron Spelling and also be an actor on the show. She was always kind of in this space of trying to prove herself as an actor. And obviously, I want this to get out there immediately that the both of you are super talented actors. And on this show, every week that we do this show, everybody talks about, whether it's a director, another actor, or a producer, or whatever, how great Tori is as an actor. She's phenomenal. So she delivered. And did you feel any sense of that? That, here I am on this show. I just love the show. Aaron Spelling's child, and now I'm going to be on it. And, this is going to be, this is a real deal, major network show. Was that pressure filled for you?
It was. It happened actually a few different times because we would be brought back. And then in later years, I had some great episodes with Steve. And it even happened then. I always had in the back of my mind, because Tori went through the whole nepotism thing, and I escaped it a little bit. It wasn't as bad. But I always had that in the back of my mind. Hey, is the grip, is the sound man or woman, or is everyone looking at me thinking, oh, he was just given this because of his father, which was true. But somehow it made me feel I didn't earn this. And because I didn't earn it, I never fully felt completely comfortable. So that was always in the back of my head. And I remember there were a few scenes that I was shooting that before the cameras were rolling, right when we were about to go, my heart, I looked down, and a couple times my shirt was moving because my heart was beating so fast.
It's a lot. But listen, like I said, you guys both are incredible performers, and I could not imagine anybody else in this role of Ryan, as silly as it is. Like you mentioned, in the later seasons, you do get some even beefier stuff with Steve and Janet, and you drop out of school and all that. So there's some heavy stuff that happens in the later years that you just deliver all the time, whether it's this goofball stuff or it's the heavy stuff. And this has some heavy stuff in it as well. Let me show you.
We tried to kill him. We tried to kill him in this episode.
You tried to take me out before I was even really in.
Exactly. That was so cruel.
Oh, let me ask you before we show a clip here about working with Travis, the other actor that you guys cast, who's Austin. It's just hilarious, and he's got like this Jim Carrey vibe going. What was it like to be paired with him? Did you find comfort in having a buddy on the show, or was it like that?
I did. Yeah. It's always fun to play off of someone else. And we were given the title, the Monkey Twins. So we could create a lot of hijinks and could play off of each other. So, and he has a total young Jim Carrey face, with his eyes when they go wide and whatnot. So we just had fun playing off of each other and, enjoying being the Monkey Twins.
I did talk to him this week. He said hello. He has nothing but wonderful things to say. He's going to join us sometime in April because he's just doing a lot of things right now. He wanted to be here. But anyway, listen, we want to talk about Jed Allen. We're going to bring his son on in a second here. Here's a scene to set that up of, the setup of this smashed episode.
There we go. Eggs over well, hash brown, sausage, hot chocolate, all courtesy of your loving family.
Thanks, Dad.
Hey, come here.
What are you guys after?
Nothing, bro.
Really?
I'm not hungry.
Well, actually, there is a little something. Not a big deal at all.
Forget it.
We haven't even told you what it is yet.
Let's keep it that way. Steve, please sit down, will you? I need your help for one night. Gotta go to Palm Springs to meet a client.
We won't get in your way.
We promise.
When?
Tonight.
No way!
Oh, please, will you? Their mother and I don't want to leave them alone.
I don't trust them either, Dad. I'm having a party tonight.
Excellent.
Perfect timing, Dad. Please don't do this to me.
I really appreciate it, son. I really do. You too. You behave yourselves. Is that understood?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, cool. They're all yours, my boy.
Let's bring on Rick here. This is Jed Allen's son, Rick. How are you, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, first off, for Randy, working with Jed Allen, do you have good memories of that?
I do. He would always smile a lot, and he always had the most incredible posture. He always just very upright, and he would walk into a room and just would command attention because you would look up and go, who is this guy? And yeah, he was always really, really nice.
For you, Rick, you mentioned before we came on here that you didn't watch much 90210, but you did get a chance to watch a little bit of this.
Yes.
How important was, I could tell you as a fan of the show, and I'm sure Sarah will back me up on this, Jed or Rush is just an incredible, iconic figure on this show. And, he's just incredible. Talk to me about your dad and what it was like growing up with the real Rush Sanders.
Well, what's kind of funny is that Rush Sanders is my dad. He's like that at home. Or he had that look. He had that commanding presence, and at the end of the show, at the end of this episode that we were watching, and he was like holding Ian's chin, like with love, and just that's how my dad was, and he was like that all the time. And it's like, so it's kind of cool that last scene with him. It was just really neat to see that, because my dad was that guy. He had an ego, and he was like larger than life, but he had a love that was just crazy for his kids and his family.
That's incredible.
So yeah.
Hey, Larry, writing for Jed, talk to me about that.
First of all, like we had a little inkling of that Steve had a father, but we never really explored it. But when he went to college and we're going to create Steve as a frat guy, and I got to create Keg, I realized there was a lot of richness in mining that father, if the father was a legacy at Keg, and then someone that Steve has to live up to. And then we created a character who was married to a TV star and divorced, and a real Beverly Hills guy. And one thing about Jed, when he walked, like you said, he was upright. He had attitude. He was a New Yorker, I think, right? He comes from New York. Mm-hmm. And, I remember, I don't think he read for the part. He comes the first time we ever see him as Steve's father is season 4. It's unbelievable. He's so indelible, and we've never even met him before that. But we had an episode of like a father-son golf tournament called Cuffs and Links episode that Steve and Jessica were heading. And I think they kind of knew him a little bit from soaps, because we're talking about a man, and Rick, I'm so in awe. He had a 60-year career. I looked it up today. That's just unheard of. It's staggering. And so then we bring him in. I think we just offered him the part, but we saw some footage on him and stuff. I said, oh yeah, he looks just like Steve Sanders, and he just looks like Ian. So it's just fabulous. He's taller than I am. Like, everything is quite interesting, because it's like, oh, I got to be in this guy's shadow. We got to create a character, a true Beverly Hills dad that is just, a ball buster for Steve. And he doesn't even live, he has a whole other family. And it opened it up, and then he stepped in. And again, the show, as Randy and everyone else knows, is like a fast-moving train. He stepped into the show like he'd been there forever. He just never missed a beat. It was like, but that's what a pro does. And he was a show person.
Yeah.
Rick, did he ever talk about his work with you? What did he ever say about being an actor, and how important was his work?
He loved being an actor. Actually, originally he wanted to be a sports announcer, and then somehow he got into acting. But he loved it. He really enjoyed acting, especially when there's some challenges. And and when he did theater, that was a lot of challenge for him, and he loved theater, musical theater especially. He really enjoyed it. He loved. I used to run lines with him. I used to, especially for the soap operas, I used to do that all the time, and it was just it was a nice father and son thing. And but it was just he really just enjoyed being an actor, being out there. He enjoyed being recognized. He loved that. Who doesn't? But he really enjoyed all that.
Well, I asked Ian this week, and this is what he had to say. He said, Jed Allen was fantastic casting. He played Rush's bravado and flair at exactly the right pitch. I always enjoyed working with him. He was a great guy. So that's from Ian. Somebody else that got to work with him, our buddy Muntz.
Ryan.
How's it going? What's up, Randy? How you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm good. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too, man.
He's in the Northwest also. He's in Whidbey Island.
Yeah.
Oh, that's on my list to go.
Yep. Yeah, come up here and eat at my restaurant, man. That's great.
Yes.
Play quarters.
Yeah, we can play some quarters. Bring your A game.
Yeah.
Ryan, let me ask you before we let Rick get out of here. What was it like working with Jed?
Wow, Jed was fantastic to work with. He was the perfect father figure to have on set as far as Steve Sanders' dad is concerned, in my opinion. And if I remember correctly, Rick, you might be able to answer this for me. Did he have a agent? Was his agent Stone Manners at any point in his career? If you can remember.
It doesn't sound familiar, Stone Manners. No.
Okay, because I swear he was with my same agent, because I went golfing with him and my agent at one point. But yeah, your dad was a hell of a guy. Fantastic actor.
Yeah. He wasn't good at golf, but he was.
But, I was thinking we used him. First time we cast him, he played golf with Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonds, and then we had him play tennis. We had him play flag football. So he was always, athletic. I mean, that was the thing. Again, really drove Steve Sanders crazy. His dad was seemingly better at everything than him.
Hey, Larry, a friend of yours.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad. Peter Brinkenhoff. Hi, Peter.
How are you? Larry, you need a haircut as much as I do.
This is my pandemic look. Yeah.
I was just describing you to my wife.
My hair gets longer and longer. We've been going a year.
I need to do this because I love Larry and he invited me. So, and I said, you remember him from the wedding? He was the guy. He and his wife both have really long gray hair.
That's correct.
Peter is a director and directed Jed a bunch in General Hospital and maybe some other things.
Hi, Randy. Sorry.
Hi, Peter. So good to see you.
Because you know each other from Sunset Beach, probably, or something.
Yes.
Peter,
we're run Sunset Beach.
We're gonna have to do a whole show with you, Peter, because you know everybody.
Time is so weird. I want to hug Ryan. I want to hug Peter. It's like, it's so good to see you.
Yeah, I like to hug you, Randy,
and you too.
Yeah, I know we just met. But Peter, working with Jed Allen. This is Rick. This is Jed Allen's son. Talk to us and tell us about Jed, the person and the actor.
Well, I will answer the question in that order. Jed was really, truly, I mean this without, no smoke blowing involved here, really a force of nature. He was, not only was he a big man to begin with, I mean, I'm 6'1" and weigh 185 pounds, so I'm not a midget, and I always looked up at him, in both figuratively and literally. So he was such a joy on that level. He was bigger than life. both physically and socially, and he got along with everybody. But this is outside of work. I mean, and his wife, whose name now, because I remember when she passed away, I forget, and Toby. She was a great compliment to him.
Rick, what is it?
We do the social things, the cast parties and stuff like that. But professionally, with me, the soap opera medium, as you know, and as Randy certainly knows, is malleable at best. You sort of don't have a lot of control, even as a director, over what actually happens other than the staging of it, because you don't have time. So you have to trust the actors. And I told Larry this in a personal message, that my two favorite recollections of Jed are one personal and one professional. The professional part was that Jed once said to me, "What? But you didn't do that last time." He said, No. I never do anything twice the same way. He said, if I have to do a second take, I'm doing something different, because otherwise I get bored. Which is, and you know him. And then the other part was his car. Mm-hmm. He had his Mercedes convertible.
You remember that? Yes.
Was not originally, as you know, a convertible. He had it made into a convertible. Mm-hmm. And this is because they didn't make convertibles in anything but the sport coupe thing. Yeah, or whatever that was, the little one. So, and I know he then described to me all the stuff they had to do to the car to make it so that he actually could be a convertible. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And then just his day-to-day presence on the set. He was just, I wish that A. Martinez, if I had known sooner, maybe I would have asked him to be on this, because he loved Jed, and they worked together a lot. Because Jed was just the ultimate professional, and I know, from his 90210 time, I know that Luke Perry, who Larry knows was a good friend of mine, just loved him.
Mm. And want to just say that it's been a couple years since he's passed, and Jed and Luke, within days of each other, very sad for all of it. And I just want to let you know, Rick, that you have a whole community of people that worked with him and the fans that just absolutely adored him. And your dad is remembered very fondly here from all of us that are fans of 90210. And I'm sure the Spellings as well just absolutely think the world of them. So
that's fantastic. Great to hear. Yeah.
I have never met Randy. I bet you would say the same thing, and I think everybody who knew him. I have never met anyone who didn't like Jed Allen. He may not have thought of much of him professionally or for many other reasons, but no one disliked him.
Yeah,
because he was a good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to hear.
Very awesome. All right, Rick and Peter, we're going to say goodbye to you, and we are going to move along into getting these two, Randy and drunk.
Peter, you're going to have to come back, though. We're going to have to do a special just with you, because you have dealt with so many actors who were on the show. You're part of their early parts of their career that we really want to hear your perspective on things.
And I saw them all before they got to you.
And you know what? You weren't wearing pants. Because Peter never wore pants in his life. He wears shorts. He wears shorts.
Never. I'm wearing shorts.
He wore shorts forever. He's never seen Peter ever in trousers. Doesn't happen. Peter's from New Jersey. Pete's from New Jersey, Peter.
Oh, I'm also from New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. I grew up in the Jersey Shore. We don't call it the shore. We call it the beach. But I got Fairhaven, New Jersey, which is kind of the northern end of the Jersey Shore.
Oh, very cool. I'm Lyndhurst.
Near Sandy Hook.
Yeah, I know where you are. All right, very cool, Peter. We will be in touch. All right, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye, Rick.
Bye, Rick.
All right, now let's get into this stuff. Boy, this is trouble.
Hey, Muntz, come on. Let us into the action.
Yeah, right. Let me see your ID, huh?
Oh, come on, Muntz, you cow. It's cool with Steve. Ask him.
Hey, Sanders. Please, two fair game.
Please, bro. How are we ever going to get any good at it if we don't practice?
Boy's got a point, Steve. Maybe put a hat on, it won't show, huh?
All right, 1 round.
All right, you sit there. You sit right here.
You're up.
Drink it! Drink!
Oh boy! All right.
Those facial expressions.
All right,
Cautionary
Randy.
tale.
How
Cautionary
do you
tale.
get into character here? A lot of drinking? No, I don't know.
You know, I just pulled on years of practice.
Months, Ryan. I do this all the time. I call you Months because I
Call
just
me months, bro. It's all good.
I just see you that way. I'm sorry. Well, talk to me about for you. You are Keg. You know what I mean? Like when we think of Keg, you're one of the things that we think about the most. Do you remember we did a watch along this week? That was a lot of fun. But do you remember shooting some of this stuff?
Yeah, you know, it's funny as I've watched some of these episodes, sometimes with you, sometimes without you, because I have the whole collection myself. But some of the episodes are a little more familiar to me, and others aren't. And when I was watching it with you guys this Sunday, I was just like, man, I know I'm in it because I see myself, but some of the scenes I was just like, did I really say that?
So, you had a really good improv line too, because that, you know, when he says, Steve says he has a point, and you say, well, yeah, we'll put a little hat on it. Well,
yeah, maybe it won't show.
Huh? That was an improv line, so I was impressed, and obviously we left it in, so that was kind of cool.
Randy, what do you remember about doing all of this?
I remember just having a ball. I mean, Ryan, we all were hanging out for days. I mean, backstage, I feel like I talked to you the most out of anyone. So, you know, we would just sit and hang out between takes, and it's a party. There's a lot going on. So that always brings a fun element to it because a lot of the cast is there and people are coming in and out. So the shots take a lot longer.
Oh, yeah.
And then, you know, here I am again. I'm on this show and now I'm drinking and it just seems fun, right?
And once is getting you drunk.
I'm happy and it's a meaty storyline. So of course I'm happy because I'm getting to do something here.
The stealing the other people's drinks though at the party, that was disgusting. I have to say.
I did not tell them to do that. I did not condone that in any way. And I did ask permission.
That's true.
No, Months is the moral high ground in this episode. Right? This is just one of the rare ones that we see this. We should just say this was written by a staff writer we had called Meredith Steen, who went on to create Cold Case and work on Homeland. And it was directed by Charles Carell, who was done a lot of stuff for Mr. Spelling, and he's no longer with us, but he did a nice job on it. So I don't know if you remember him at all, Randy, or you guys remember Charles Carell?
I remember him vaguely.
Yeah, I don't remember him at all. I mean, I feel bad. And he did a couple. I went, but I know. Yeah. Anyway, that's
writing party scenes, Larry. How fun is it to?
It's great because you got to. Like Randy said, everyone's going to be together, so it's going to have a lot of energy because we're going to have all the people there, so it's a big thing. And this was a party which actually started early. Most parties in our show started Act 4, because that's where everyone ended up. But this party, literally starts, I think, in the second act, and it's basically the centerpiece of the show. And we bring everybody in there. We got this guy, Dr. Greg. We've been working this triangle with Tara and Kelly and Dr. Greg. And he comes in, and we were able to really have a lot of moving parts connect there. We got Colin coming in with Valerie and then seeing Kelly. And I mean, it's I was pretty excited to see it. I realized, this is when we did stuff right, a lot of it happens like this. And then of course we had a heartfelt story because we got Steve's family story there, and theoretically, we could have killed Randy. We could.
Thank you for not killing me.
We didn't. I think we would have killed the other guy. If that was the storyline, we definitely would have killed him. We would have killed him.
Yeah.
And, he kind of. Sometimes we had to. He was tough sometimes because he was kind of a little bit out of control. It seemed.
Travis.
So that was part of his Travis. Yeah, it was part of his charm, I guess.
Yes. Well, it definitely comes through on screen.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to ask Randy. I want to show you another clip. You get to do some stuff like this.
Welcome back to Party Central at the annual Keg House Spring Fling.
Sanders goes for the long pass. The toss is phenomenal. In slow-mo now.
Hey, guys, there's a reason why they don't make footballs out of glass.
Hey, who's the buzzkill?
Oh, yes, and Steve Sanders also has family here.
Yeah, I admit it. These are my brothers, the Monkey Boys, more fondly known as Ryan and Austin.
Hi.
It's off to work we go.
And I mentioned they're half-brothers.
But you get a scene with Tori. You know what I mean?
Well, not only did I have a scene with Tori, but as you know, part of the fun is everyone likes to ad lib and throw things in. So we did something funny where one of the scenes I was in it didn't make the cut. I was hanging on Tori and I was speaking to her with my alcohol breath and I was going, "You're hot." Or something, and he was reacting, and we thought, and I think it was her idea. She came up with it, like, "Oh, that would be funny because it's a play on."
Yeah,
but it didn't end up making.
I have a feeling your dad might have cut that out. I think we would have left it in.
That's awesome.
Oh, it was fun. Yeah,
acting is fun, I'm sure, and it's a lot of work. So I don't mean to undermine the skill, but then you get to act with your sister. Does that increase it, or does it make it more stressful, or does that make it more fun?
I guess it just depends on the context. I mean, for me, those scenes were fun. You know, there's a lot of energy. Everyone's sort of dancing, and I'm acting out of control. So I didn't feel any pressure in that. In fact, that cheeky moment of me being drunk hitting on my sister, was just pure fun.
Well, we've got to find that. We've got to find that footage.
Maggie says, "I just watched that and completely forgot they're related." Good acting. So there you go. All right, then you guys are messing with Munson.
What's up? Hey, not so fast, pencil necks.
Hey, Muns. Look, we're just trying to help clean up, big guy.
Yeah, that is, of course, if you're done with these.
Okay, cool.
What happens when you're thirsty?
Right?
This happens. I mean, I had two boys growing up. This is certainly their story at parties, So yeah, we take from what we know.
Well, Larry, somebody asked me, see if I have this question here, so I do it the right way. Somebody asked if this was based on something that happened to you at all.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's not uncommon to me, but yeah, I had two boys, and yeah, there'd be, certainly would, be big parties, and they'd be out there stealing bottles of liquor, and end up on the, not dead, but certainly passed out on the lawn and stuff.
Who hasn't been there?
Right.
Exactly.
No, I meant the whole alcohol poisoning thing, Larry.
Well, the alcohol poisoning thing. Well, that's one of my sons is a frat boy, so that comes out of the frat world. Where usually as a cautionary tale, every 5 years one kid dies of it. Binge drinking, and it just happens. You just get dehydrated and you pass out and you shut down. But yes, I think we did a PSA for this also. Look, again, it scored in a lot of things because it was saying something. I mean, you gotta, you just can't drink like that, especially a kid. So, I mean, it was a good storyline for that.
How about for you, Randy? I mean, it's fun. We're talking about this, and we're going to show some of the more serious scenes of you acting in a second here. But you are, 90210 has always been one of those shows that has been helping kids sort of cope with issues. And to be a part of something like that, what was that like for you?
I loved it. I watched 90210 as a fan, as someone who, I would get chills as different storylines would happen and evolve. And I learned a lot from this. And it's interesting when people talk about 90210 and I think something that is missed a lot is all of the different dilemmas and issues and things that were tackled. I mean, it seems like almost every episode there was a different social dilemma or something that was current that was being addressed. You know, teenage angst, suicide, drinking, pregnancy, sex, and how to go about that. And Brenda waiting until, you know, she felt right and not being pressured. I mean, all of that wasn't happening. That wasn't happening back then. So it really broke a lot of ground. And I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, it still resonates today. That's the amazing thing. These issues, like, you know, that's the same issues seem to be happening all the time. We watch these shows and go, wow, okay, well, that's still here.
Well, I mean, it's sad in a way that some of the social issues that you guys covered on 90210 are still happening today. Yeah. You know, there are still big things that are happening in society that you just wish, like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense anymore because it's such an so long ago. But you look 30 years later, and here we are with some of the same issues in our society. So, to a degree, you know, it's upsetting. All right, let's look at some of this.
Steve, come quick.
After the song.
It's Ryan, man. He's sick. He's really sick.
Well, where is he?
On the back porch. He's out cold, Steve.
Great. Get up.
Let me see him. I'm a med student. Kelly, call 911. How much does this kid have to drink tonight?
I don't know. A lot. Too much blood in his alcohol stream. Come on.
We gotta get him to the hospital right away.
He's just drunk.
I'll say he has alcohol poisoning.
What's that mean?
It means we gotta get his stomach pumped and reduce the concentration of alcohol in his blood before something drastic happens.
Drastic? You mean he could die from this?
Tough stuff. I don't know. Do you remember, have any memories of that, Randy, doing some of this more of this stuff? I know you're just laughing, but yeah.
I do. I mean, I remember laying there because I had to lay there and lay there again, take after take. And I loved, I don't know if you all caught it, but when Steve said too much blood in his alcohol stream, and that was a conscious, he was playing with that because he had been drinking a little bit. And, you know, it's fun to watch actors' choices in the moment, even though it's something serious and it calls for, you know, this dramatic moment. There's still that undertone of, yeah, well, I'm drunk too, and I'm going to mess up and slur my word. And that you let that go, as opposed to people just thinking, oh, he said that wrong. That was left in.
The most, yeah.
Hey, Larry, before we get into seeing some of the serious scenes, there's a couple other things happening in this episode that we should address.
One thing before we go to that, I just want to ask one question, because it's very hard playing with Randy. As an actor, I had to do that once too. And you're lying down there, and I remember the other actor I was working with, it was a Larry Mann. It was a Canadian series, and I was dying. I was supposed to be dead, but I was trying to act a little bit like I was a little bit of Twitch, you know. And I just remember the guy like, just act dead, will you? Anyway, you acted dead much better than I did.
You nailed it.
I think I may have just been sleeping.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, just take a break. That's it.
Well, okay. The first thing that's also happening here is Dr. Greg, right? You kind of alluded to Dr. Greg, and Dr. Greg is wonderful, and we've talked to him on Patreon. He's awesome. That's Michael Dietz, Randy, if you remember him at all. Yep. So talk to me about this, because you also have this major thing going on in Smashed where Tara is stalking, or I don't know. I know you don't like the word stalking with this.
It's a single white female trope. But you know, it's gonna go all the way to, this is a March show, by the way. This show happened in March. So the Tara thing is gonna climax in May during sweeps, because that's the money ball. And so you know, we spent a lot of this year, you know, Kelly going down the road with a bad boy. She gets addicted to cocaine. She ends up in rehab, and in rehab she befriends a kind of a real street urchin. She's trying to do good with this girl, and the girl is like broken. There's something really wrong with the girl, and the girl decides she wants to be Kelly. And so this is the beginning of it, because Kelly, meanwhile, likes this Dr. Greg, and they start sparking. And Tara, if Kelly has Dr. Greg, then she doesn't have her, so she's going to screw it up. And we kind of foreshadow a bunch of stuff, but also we tell the great roommate story here. Someone's going to be staying a couple of days, and the other roommates have to react to it. Where's my orange juice, and where's this?
Yes.
It's again, that's kind of very relatable, classic stuff to get. Good incident really to hang stuff on, which you're gonna, it's gonna pay off. We're gonna earn all this stuff later on.
Only Kelly Taylor might get a boyfriend in rehab / the hospital. Can I just say that? Only Kelly.
Yeah. What about Kathleen, Randy? Kathleen Robertson. I know Tori and her were pretty close. Did you have any kind of relationship with her? I mean, I have to ask that question every week. I'm sorry, I'm such a Kathleen fan. So,
but that hair, though, was.
I'm with Sarah. The hair is the worst hair she ever had.
This is bad hair.
I disagree. I love that she went out of the box.
Always look good. Always look good.
Thank you.
She looks like a skunk. I mean, she's gorgeous, but that hair is not good.
But I will say that's one of her endearing qualities, is that she would always do something different, and she was outside of the box. So for me, being a diehard Kathleen fan, I just need to say that. But anyway, Randy, did you get to spend some time with her through the years?
I did get to spend some time with her through the years. Her and Tori were close, so we would hang out outside of work a lot. And yeah, she was lovely. I have some great memories with her, and there's such a, I don't know, Kathleen's like a cat. There's such a mystere about her, something about her eyes that she was always a little bit of a mystery. And
I'm all in. I'm like, wow, yeah. He's got it. Exactly. Cat. Yeah. Sorry.
Peter said you had me at cat.
Pretty much, yeah. That's great. All right, let's get into what's Valerie got going on. I forget from our.
Valerie's got Collins. She's put some money up. Collins, got caught in a sting and caught, in a cocaine buy, and is facing some heavy legal time in jail. And Valerie's his only one who believes in him, and she convinced him to come to this party. And of course, she's doing good. She brings to the party, and all he does in the party is see Kelly, and they make eyes at each other. So we get a chance to again work the triangle, which is money. Again, that's what our fans really wanted to see, and also that's what was going on between the characters. That was part of the storytelling there. That's Valerie was sticking her neck out for Colin, and he was, and we knew that he didn't really care about her.
Yeah, well, that comes across in this episode. Hey, I want to show you guys this video real quick. We have that person, Caitlin, who makes all these funny reenactments of scenes. She did this one for us this week. She is hilarious. Beverly Thrills 90210. Follow her. All right, now let's watch this. This is good. The touching stuff with you and Ian, and I want to ask you a bunch about this, Randy.
Glad to see your eyes are open.
How long have I been out? The last thing I remember, must have passed out.
Well, let me fill in the blanks for you. You ruined the party. Got me in massive trouble with Dad. You're a screw-up and an idiot. But you're my brother. And I love you.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
I think I'm gonna have a hangover.
I think you're gonna have the Guinness Book of World Records hangover.
Yeah. I'm pretty sleepy.
Yeah. brother a rest. I'll be right here.
Excuse me. You really need to be going now.
Ma'am, I'd like to stay. That's my brother.
Okay.
Thank you.
Really nice stuff, man. I just want to say, I know you said you always had that thing about worrying about being a spelling and all that, man. That stuff is incredible. The work is just brilliant, and there is no reason for you to ever think about that because you just were an incredible actor.
Thank you.
Do you remember doing this with Ian?
I do. This was one of my favorite scenes I've done on the whole show because, a couple episodes of me and my brother creating all of these, funny faces and always reacting to things. And now this is my first time to be able to really connect with Steve and do a serious scene. And we got to slow everything down. And the dialogue wasn't just fast and furious. And we really got a chance to connect. And I felt closer to him, even though I knew him through the scene and through acting. I really felt bonded to him after that.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, it comes through. I mean, again, there's so much authenticity what you brought to it. That's to me just, when the show really is right, it has this kind of thing about Beverly Hills in it, which does, which people love and fascinates people all around the world. And that's one thing we're finding now is that what a huge international audience. Your dad would have been very proud of that still is so fanatical. I mean, all these, and we've, now been capturing all these fan groups out of Italy and Israel and France and Australia, and they're active on social media all the time. And they're still, it's like, not that it's Shakespeare, but it's like people are studying it because they in a way, in a certain way, because when obviously this is a 30-year-old, 30 to 20 or 30-year-old show, but they still kind of go back over it and argue whether, it's Brenda, it's Kelly, it's crazy. I mean, and we're enjoying it, because we get a chance to, reconnect with all the people we work with, and we have a lot to be proud of.
Jim says great chemistry between the actors, so real to see. You just kind of said that you felt closer to Ian. I think, we always think of, sometimes when we do Ian storylines here, we talk about all the crazy antics, but he's got such a tenderness in his work, and especially some of this stuff, with you and Lindsay Price towards the end of the series and whatnot. He matures into something so beautiful as an actor. You're someone who is a fan of the show, right? And Ian. When you see this in the moment, what do you think of him as an actor? And looking back at this.
Yeah, Ian was always the life of the room, and his character was funny a lot of the time. He could make some comments where, at the beginning of the show, he was kind of rude and obnoxious. But through it all, he always had these moments where there would be this really serious moment, or he would get really tender, or he would get softer. And it commanded attention because he was out here a lot of the time. And then when he came in and really connected, I always felt like I was waiting for what was about to happen and what he was about to say.
Yeah, really nice. Sarah, if this was a hospital in New Jersey, when Ian said, or when Steve said, I'd like to stay a little bit longer, don't you think the nurse in New Jersey would have been like, nah?
Right.
Yeah, no chance. No chance. That was an awesome scene, though. I love that. I feel like Steve really thrived in the college years. It was fun to see a different side of Steve in the college years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he became the prototypical frat guy. We created the whole frat world, and it runs through the 4 years there in all the episodes, and it created Muntz's character, and we had to have little buddies there, and it was great for stories, because again we were doing 32 episodes a season there, so we need a lot of stuff.
Kristen wants to know, do you think 90210 is one of your dad's proudest career moments? Great question, Kristen. Thank you.
That is a good question. I would have to say yes, just for the phenomenon that it was. I mean, it would be hard in anyone's career to not ride that wave and have that wave be really fun. I mean, between the show and the attention and the merchandising and I mean, it was just wild. So yeah, I think he was really, really proud of it. And I think he was genuinely proud of everyone associated with that show. He felt that, and he really felt, I mean, I was there behind the scenes in the editing in his office, watching him watch dailies and do the editing and give critiques. I was there at home when we were having dinner, and he would be having his cocktail, and then he would call Kenny Miller and say, well, you know, what about this and what about that? And he might be upset about something that he saw. And then, of course, by the end, he'd go, okay, lover. Okay, great. I love it.
All right, lover. Hey, what happened to the pinball machine, the Aaron Spelling pinball machine?
Oh, it's still alive and kicking.
That's good.
Yeah.
This has been great, man. I think we really covered this. Larry, do you have anything else that you want to?
No, it's just a pleasure, you know, seeing Randy and Ryan and, you know, and Rick Brown and stuff. You know, it's good. This is really good, but you know, it's wonderful to hear this perspective on stuff.
Randy, when you look at 90210 now, you're in a little bit of a different world. You're not professional, you know, you're not acting and whatnot, but you are acting, as you mentioned before. What do you think of it? Does it mean a lot to you?
Yeah, Ryan, I don't know if you feel like this, but when I watched those scenes, you know, a couple times I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I could do that so much better right now. Put me in, coach. Put me in. Let me back at it. Right? But the other thing is, it feels like a different lifetime. I'm watching that and I'm thinking, wow, I'm in such a different place. I'm older and different. And so it's near and dear, and it's really fun to watch, but also totally surreal.
That's awesome.
Maybe it's that way for all of us. I mean, I go, well, we could have written that a little bit better there. Jeez.
All right. So I wanted to say to Randy, I can't thank you enough for coming on and joining us. And I can't thank you. Your family created something that means so much to so many of us. And from the bottom of my heart, I can't tell you how much it's done for me personally. And I know that there are so many other stories out there from fans that feel that same impact, even way deeper than anything I can ever say. So thank you to you, and thank you for coming here, and thank you to your family for creating something that means so much to so many people. And
all of you. Thank you, and thank you for doing this and putting it together and going through this so that the fans could have this. It's really special.
It's really awesome.
It started out as a pandemic pastime, and it's become something a little bit more.
And so for next week, Larry and I are still trying to figure out what we're going to do. If I'm being totally honest, right? So we have some options ahead of us. So we're working on that. And for everybody that's on Patreon, Ryan Thomas Brown is going to stop by and say hello. So get into the Zoom, and we will be there. All right. So this has been a great week. Thank you all, and we will catch you next time. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
We will see you next week.
Randy, let's talk soon, bud.